Welcome to another episode of Nature Knows Best, where we explore why animals have more interesting physiology than humans and how us humans use animal physiology to improve the biomedical field. Today, we're going to travel from New Caledonia to MIT to explore why geckos and surgical tape may be more related than you might think. First, let's travel to New Caledonia with our first reporter, Becky Geckos, to introduce the marvelous gecko.
Thanks for having me, host. So today we're traveling to New Caledonia in search of a fascinating little creature, this gecko right here. So geckos are amazing little fellas. They are nocturnal insectivores, which means that they hunt at night and they love to eat insects. And what makes these geckos so cool is they have this interesting little attribute on their feet. So geckos have toe pads, and each toe pad is made up of rows of scales called lamellae, and each lamella is composed of little tiny hairs called setae. And setae should be very familiar to us humans because setae is composed of beta keratin, and in humans, alpha keratin is closely related and makes up our hair and nails. So we're going to take this gecko here, hi baby, and we're going to give her some growth factor hormone to grow her to our size so we can take a closer look at that setae. Whoa, that GH worked really well. The setae on her toe pads are so crowded that friction is built up in between the individual hairs. This friction allows her to cling to the environment and allows her to climb on walls, trees, and even glass. Now, these interactions are what is known as van der Waal interactions. So now let's hear what van der Waal interactions are right from the gecko's mouth.
Van der Waal interactions appear due to constant movement of electrons in atoms. As electrons move towards and away from other atoms, the electrical charges of atoms change. More electrons in one direction means that there's a larger negative charge. The movement of electrons creates dipoles, which are atoms with equal and opposite electrical charges separated by a tiny distance. These dipole interactions are in constant flux, building electrostatic attraction between atoms or molecules. My feet interact with my environment with dipole attractions, or van der Waal interactions, which allow me to stick to practically any surface.
Wow, that was an awfully scientific response from the gecko. Let's get you back to your normal size.
While our gecko friend is shrinking back to her normal size, let's get microscopic and look at some pictures we took of her toe pads. As you heard from our friend, van der Waal interactions between the gecko's feet and the environment allow her to stick to any type of surface. Let's first look at the lamellae of our gecko. As you can see, a gecko's lamellae are at the bottom of each of her toe. Each lamella is covered with setae, which, as we've talked about earlier, are like little hairs made out of beta keratin. One single seta is about 100 microns in length and 5 microns in diameter. In comparison, human hair averages about 75 microns in diameter. Now that's thin. One setae branches into a couple hundred spatulae. One spatula has a stalk leading up to a flat triangular end. At the end of the spatula, the triangular end is about 200 nanometers at the widest edge. Now you may be wondering how relatively weak molecular interactions can allow a gecko to climb against gravity on surfaces as smooth as glass. For a gecko to attach her setae to a surface, her setae will bend out of a resting curve into a flattened state when she touches the surface. This microscopic displacement of her setae maximizes her contact with the surface and increases the van der Waal interactions between her setae and the surface. For a gecko to detach her setae from a surface, she must remove the van der Waal interactions. As a gecko goes to take a step, almost like she's peeling away from the surface, she increases the angle between her setae and the surface. As the angle increases, stress between her setae and the surface increases. This increasing stress causes the van der Waal attractions to break.
Thanks, Becky Gecky. So we just introduced to you the geckos, but now we're going to discuss why geckos inspired surgical tape. Now, let's visit MIT and meet the scientist, Robert Langer, who discovered how innovative gecko feet can be.
Thanks, host. Here at the lab, we found that we could create polymer bandages that mimic the nanotopography or structure of gecko feet. The design allows for a couple different benefits. One, the polymer structure is biodegradable, which means that over time, as the tissue heals, the bandage dissolves. Two, the fibril structures of gecko's feet maximize the adhesion strength of the bandage.
I would like to expand on our gecko-inspired bandage a little more. This is a waterproof adhesive bandage that will soon be used to join sutures and staples and hopefully be a basic operating room tool for patching up surgical wounds of internal injuries. This bandage has the same type of nanoscale hills and valleys that geckos have that allow them to cling to walls and ceilings. There's a thin coating of glue that allows the bandage to stick even in wet environments like the heart, bladder, and lung tissue. As said before, this is in fact biodegradable, so it will not have to be removed later. Gecko-like dry adhesives are not a new idea, seeing as they've been around since 2001, but there have been many challenges in adapting this technology to be able to be applied to the human body. They need to stick in wet environments as well as be made from materials customized for medical applications. They also need to be biocompatible, meaning they don't cause inflammation, biodegradable, as stated before, and elastic, so they can conform to and stretch with the body's tissues. We were able to meet these requirements by building their medical adhesive with a biorubber and by shaping the biorubber into different hill and valley profiles at nanoscale dimensions. We also added that thin layer of glue we talked about for strong bonding. This tape was tested on intestinal tissue samples from pigs, and the nano-patterned adhesive bonds were twice as strong as unpatterned adhesives. Another exciting feat is that the adhesive can be infused with drugs designed to release as the biorubber degrades. This gecko tape is the first tape to show good adhesive strength and safety in animals.
This is a patient who suffers from peptic ulcers or stomach ulcers due to long-term use of NSAIDs for migraines. She has a small hole in her stomach lining that we're going to patch up with our gecko tape, patent pending.
Will this tape stay in my stomach?
Well, of course. This tape can fold and unfold, so we can insert the tape through a small incision in your stomach and place it over the ulcerated hole. This method is patent pending. Plus, the material patent pending is biocompatible, which means that your stomach will not get inflamed or irritated. By the time your ulcer heals, the tape will have dissolved, leaving you with a perfectly happy stomach lining.
Thank you, Dr. Langer, for that informative, if not a bit ad-intensive explanation of your gecko tape. As you folks can see, gecko feet are fascinating examples of innovative physiology. In this episode, we have illustrated yet again why nature knows best and how we humans are just now realizing that we should pay more attention to other animals other than ourselves. To geckos.
I love to get in sparkly dresses.
So you've got a magnificent pair of bananas.
Oh, great heavens!
This is a certified hood classic.
It's about
This family makes me want to murder people.